Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have week 4 of my 12 weeks of Christmas series, so let's jump right in. So I'm going to start by cutting down my cardstock. You guys know this is my preference when working just because I find it easier to know what size I'm working with. So for my white panel, I'm going to cut it down to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 when scored. And I am going to bring in a black mat. I love the look of a black mat, so I'm going to use that. And that will be cut down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the A2 base, giving me just a nice thin border all the way around. Now, if you don't like that look or you want a thicker border, by all means change up the measurements to be whatever you would like them to be. This is just my preference, so it's what I tend towards. And I think that it always kind of makes it stand out more, the border does. So I do prefer it, but there's no right or wrong here. You know, you do what works for you, what makes you smile when you're creating. That's really all that matters. Now, this card design is actually inspired by a video I saw on the Sizzix YouTube channel. I think it was like a year ago, maybe a little more. And it was a design that Pete Hughes had done, and it turned out beautiful. He'd done these glitter trees, and I fell in love with them. He also did a moon and all this kind of stuff, and I just loved the trees. So I'm going to kind of recreate it my own way and have it just be the trees. So that's what you're going to see here. Now, I'm sorry if you can hear any background noise. You guys will know that the market is this week. So this is Monday, and the market is Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week. So you'll see one more video from me before the market. And so in the background, if you hear my printer or my cutting machines, anything crazy going on, it's just because I'm mid-market prep. So I apologize for any weird noises. Now, I've cut down these pieces of cardstock to fit the Forest Shadow dies. That is a Tim Holtz die that has the trees. And I'm only going to use the 2 trees. There's no right or wrong here. If you don't have these dies, use a tree die, use a leaf die. There's so many ways you could make this stunning. I have those trees, and I'm going to use them because I think it was incredibly beautiful what Pete Hughes did. But there's no right or wrong. Use what you have. So I'm going to use 4 different colors of Distress Oxide ink. I have Shaded Lilac, Wilted Violet, Villainous Potion, and then I'm going to finish it off with Uncharted Mariner. Now again, no right or wrong. If you want to go a more traditional color palette, bring those colors in and have a try with them and see what happens. I tend towards a very non-traditional Christmas palette. That is just my preference. I am not a big fan of red and green. To me, they clash and I don't like them. I like them individually. I don't like them together the way Christmas does. But there's no right or wrong. If that's your preference, by all means, bust it out and see what you can do. Do keep in mind that red and green are complementary colors, so they can create brown or gray, like kind of a muddy color. So just keep that in mind if that's something you want to work with. I am using colors that go really beautifully together. I mean, obviously there are 3 purples and a blue, kind of a tealy color, so they go pretty good together. But with the glitter, you're gonna hide a lot of this anyways, so you still see the color come through, but you're not gonna see like the harsh line between Shaded Lilac and Wilted Violet. Wilted Violet and Shaded Lilac don't blend really well together, in my opinion. That's of course my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. But I love the transition you'll see in the trees. You will have seen it in the images, of course. But I like how it looks under the glitter. I think that it's stunning. And just like I think it's stunning finishing the top with Uncharted Mariner, I think has to be, besides Villainous Potion, my favorite of the new shades that he brought out, the Tim Holtz brought out. Which is surprising for me because I generally am not really driven towards blues, tealies colors. I tend towards, pinks and purples. Obviously, you guys know this if you've been with me for any length of time and you've seen my creations. But this one has really, I've used it now in a few different blends and I love it. I think that it's stunning. It just adds a little bit of something extra and it's really, really pretty. Also, keep in mind, the oxides will dry back. So right here, they're vibrant. They're kind of standing out from each other. Give them a little time, let them dry back. They will look beautiful. Another way to hide a little bit of what's going on is splatter, which I'm going to do. You won't see the splatter as much through the glitter, but it does add a little bit of an interesting texture. And I do tend towards dimension and texture. That's just something I really enjoy. So keep that in mind. Now I am leaving the bottom of these tree dies white. You'll see what I mean here in a second once I actually have it cut. But I chose to do that just because I wanted it to kind of look like an ombre between the colors, even though they stand out quite a bit here, but you will see what I mean once we add the glitter and we've kind of started going forward with that. What I mean, whereas it kind of gets hidden a little bit. So keep that in mind. It's going to look stunning. It's just, it takes a second for us to get there. Sometimes you just have to trust the process. Although I was pretty positive these colors would look wonderful together regardless. Now, quick sidebar here. If you are not subscribed to my channel and you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. It is my dream to hit 20,000 subscribers. I was hoping to hit it by the end of 2025. I don't think that's going to be realistic. That's quite a few people. But if you enjoy my content and you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. It is how you let YouTube, know that you like my content, that and, leaving comments and leaving likes and sharing all that stuff. It just tells YouTube that my content is, interesting, and it helps new people see the content, and that's of course how the channel grows. So if you want to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that stuff, I would greatly appreciate it. And to anybody who has subscribed, thank you. You are wonderful. I really appreciate you. And to my members, you are all phenomenal. I greatly appreciate you. You make me having this channel and doing it all this work completely possible. So I really, really appreciate you. And if you're at all interested in checking out the memberships, there is a link in the description. You can go and have a boo and just take a gander if that's something of interest to you. So I decided once I'd cut these, I wanted to bring a really light hand of shaded lilac down into that white area so it wasn't quite as stark. And I did use the tiny blending tools here as well. Generally, I use the full size, but because it's such a small area that I'm kind of coloring, I was worried that I would lose a lot of it if I used the bigger ones because they are quite large and I needed them to be a bit smaller. Now, I'm going to use a spray adhesive. This was the easiest way to get the glitter to adhere. There are many ways to do this. If you don't want to use a spray adhesive, be very careful if you do use a spray adhesive. They are kind of, they have fumes. Be careful. I had my fan on. I locked the cats out of the room. I was very conscientious of this. Ideally, you would do it outside. However, I live in Canada and it's, the end of October. So it's cold here already. I think the day that I was recording this, it was like 6 degrees Celsius. So I'm not going outside to spray some stuff. I take all the precautions that I can within, my window was open and the cats were locked out and I had the fan going, not for the glitter part, obviously, because the glitter would have flown everywhere, but for the actual spraying part. And then once I covered these, I did actually leave the room, left the fan on, everything like that, so that there was time for the fumes to kind of dissipate before I actually went back and worked in the room again. So just be careful, be safe. If you don't want to use a spray adhesive, by all means don't. It's just, in my opinion, the fastest way to get an application, but there are many ways. You could roll glossy accents on there. There are other ways to do it. This is just the way that I felt that it was the easiest for me to get what I wanted in a somewhat quick fashion, because I am trying to get a bunch of videos done before the market, because I am spending the week up to the market doing a whole bunch of prep. So bear with me, but be safe, be careful, and just be conscientious of your health when creating. So just my little TED talk there. And then I brought in a sentiment. This is from my favorite Christmas Blessings stamp set. This is a Simon Says stamp set. It is full of beautiful Christmas sentiments. It's my favorite. You guys have seen it thousands of times. This is not, I don't know about thousands, many, many times. This is not a sentiment I had actually used before, but I felt it was really fitting for this tree design. So it is what I chose to use. And then we're going to adhere the trees down. I'm going to use my acrylic block just to hold them down because of, the weight of the glitter and the spray adhesive. They kind of want to buckle a bit and they don't really want to adhere. So because of that, I just opted to bring in a couple acrylic blocks to hold them down while the adhesive grabbed in the back. And then I'm just going to remove it. It also helps the adhesive stay where it's supposed to. I did also kind of shake off the trees over top of my garbage can before I, started adhering them. But the glitter is pretty good at staying where it's supposed to. You might see it, shed a fleck or two, but honestly, I haven't had an issue, and I've held the cards and shake them over the garbage can just to see if the glitter wanted to stay on, because I don't generally use a spray adhesive very much, but I thought I would give it a go and see what happened, and it worked pretty well, to be honest. But again, be aware of the fumes, of course. And then once those are kind of layered up, I'm going to add the other layers. These are fairly straightforward cards, but I feel like they really pack a punch. And if you haven't seen the ones that Pete Hughes did, go and check them out. He did like a glitter moon behind his trees. His work is always stunning. He's a phenomenal creator. His use of color is always just baffling. Like, if you haven't seen him, go and check out the Sizzix channel. That's where he shares. He works with Sizzix, and go and check out his creations, because he's a phenomenally inspiring creator. And then, yeah, we're just going to layer these bad boys up. So we're going to add the black layer, which I think really helps them pop, and it ties in that black sentiment. So it's not just kind of one black element. It kind of ties it all together. And because this is me, you could 100% stop here. If you don't have the embellishments, or you don't want to add embellishments, anything like that, stop here. You absolutely could. But I own a lot of embellishments because I love them. So I did bring in my holographic stars because I love them. And I just added, I think it was like 5 across the panel. It might have been 7, it would have been an odd number. And I added them just kind of across the panel, and it just gives it a little bit extra. But these are stunning here too. So if you don't have, holographic stars, don't add them. Like, these, even just with the borders, are beautiful. So use what you have. You don't have to buy new stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love new stuff too, but you don't has to. If you don't wants to, don't. Just use what you have. So I am going to add a couple of holographic stars, but I think with just these borders, it's stunning on its own. And I am going to bring in the Tim Holtz Tree Line stamps, and I'm going to pull just one tree out of it, and I'm going to stamp that on the inside. You'll see it here in a second. I'm going to show you. I'm trying to decorate the inside of my cards just because I think it adds a little pop of almost like magic on the inside, because you don't expect it, I think. And now I have it. So my husband, he comes and looks at all of my creations because he's very supportive that way. And he'll actually open all of the cards now just to see if I've done or what I've done or what's going on the inside, because I'm kind of going that direction. And it's always kind of fun to see what he thinks when he opens it of what I've come up with, just to add a little bit of something extra on the inside. So it is really fun to see that. But yeah, so I layered them all up with just my Nuvo Deluxe glue. If you wanted to, you could bring in some foam tape, add a little dimension. I didn't. I opted to just leave them, flat layers, because I want them to be almost subtly beautiful, if that makes sense. So then I brought in my holographic stars, and like I said, I did add 5. And it is an oddity for me to only have 2 elements, but I still feel like this design is really balanced. Let me know your thoughts. You guys know I always want to hear what you're thinking. Let me know. Leave me a comment. Tell me all your thoughts on these cards. But I honestly think so far, and now granted, we're only week 4 of 12. We got a long ways to go yet. But I think these so far are my favorite of the 12 weeks of Christmas so far. We'll see if that changes. It may. And then so I brought in just 1 stamp from that Tree Lots, like I said, and I used 2 of the purples. I used Shaded Lilac and Wilted Violet. And on this one, I wish I had, I actually brought in Villainous Potion on the top as well. I wish that I had blended Shaded Lilac and Wilted Violet there, because you see such a stark line between them. It doesn't matter though, like, not important. I do wish I had brought in my little blending tool though and just kind of cleaned them up. You'll see me do that on the 3rd one when I go to stamp that, but it doesn't matter. It was a fun, cool, pretty inside stamp regardless of the fact that it's kind of stark. See, like this one's not, because I already had ink on there, so it was a lot more subtle. But it's okay. It is what it is. I'm not mad about it. I still think the card is stunning regardless. But as always, please tell me your thoughts. Leave me a comment. If you have any ideas for Christmas videos, let me know. I have loads to make yet. So far, I've made week 4, week 5, and the Thursday in between. And then I need to sit down and make some more videos, because now, of course, I've shifted gears to market prep, but we will see how it goes. So I'm going to hold them up in all of their glory here, and you can tell me, like, is that not subtly stunning? And that just that touch of Uncharted Mariner at the top, like what a fun addition. I don't know. I find them so eye-catching, and they're even better in person because all that glitter, like the camera catches quite a bit of it, but not all of it. And they're just in person, they are stunning. I'm so excited about these cards. So tell me your thoughts, and if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a tree emoji if you can find one. If you can't find a tree, I don't know, leave me your favorite winter emoji, but aim for a tree if you can. That is everything I have for you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. And of course, as I said, we are in the middle of the 12 Weeks of Christmas series. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.